James O'Keefe has been banned on Twitter. It is now permanent. And his ban comes just a few months after his group, Project Veritas, was thrown off Twitter for, quote, repeated violations of Twitter's private information policy. At the time, O'Keefe's account was also temporarily locked for violating the company's policy. But this time, it is confirmed via Twitter spokesperson that it has been permanently suspended for violating the Twitter rules on platform manipulation and spam. Social media platforms specifically outlined how Twitter policy dictates that users can't mislead others on Twitter by operating fake accounts, and that can't artificially amplify or disrupt conversations through the use of multiple accounts. Now, that's, I think, the most interesting one, because many platforms have something like this. They almost never actually employ them, in particular against the right. There have been Judd Legum, who's been on the show multiple times. He has demonstrated how, especially on Facebook, they use these sort of bot networks of like automated reposting pages to artificially amplify the reach of right-wing articles, blog posts, content, stuff like that. That is explicitly against Facebook's guidelines, and it has been years that they've been doing it, and they have never actually suffered any consequences. I don't know that this represents a systemic shift in that for Twitter, but at the very least, James O'Keefe and Project Veritas apparently have run afoul of it, and James O'Keefe is now permanently banned, Brett.
Yes, and it's not a ban because it seems not to be a ban because people don't like his politics. It seems to be a ban because he's breaking the rules of the network, or of the social media network. And they're within their rights. That's a capitalist argument. That is a gay cake argument. That is a, hey, we have a policy that we follow here, and it is our First Amendment right as owners of a business to do whatever we want because we're not the government and you can't keep us here. And then also just from the legal standpoint, I'm sure the Twitter's terms of service is crafted to protect them from lawsuits, but it seems like James O'Keefe isn't gonna let that stop him. He and whoever's backing him are going to fight this in a hope to get some obviously monetary and PR based loot from it, essentially.
Yeah, they're actually suing for defamation over its claim that he operated fake accounts. His whole thing is fake accounts. And by the way, some people might say, well, he's a journalist, doesn't he have to do that? No, Ken Klippenstein breaks stories every week. He doesn't have any fake accounts. He gets people to give him information, he publicizes it. You could do that in theory, especially if the organizations you're targeting are things like CNN, where they have literally thousands of employees. In any event, they get to have standards. And if they're public, which they are, if you've been warned for past violations, which he has, you don't get to be super shocked when finally they do what they've been saying they would do for some time.
Yeah, and it's crazy how quickly these things, like, it seems to me that part of the reason that his things about him trend as so much bigger than other bits of news is kind of wrapped into the reason he's been banned. They do this, and if you see those Judd Legum things, they're amazing. It says here are Ben Shapiro's network does the same thing, where here are a bunch of tweets. Here's the policy that says you can't just like have a bunch of networks that you control retweet the same damn thing over and over again to game our system. And then Judd's just like, here's a bunch of screen caps of the same title, the same description. These are originating posts. Yeah. It's crazy, and people do it all the time. They pay off bot networks, and this is part of it. If they want to say that the best ideas win out, which is the central argument of people on the right, the ones they make all the time, why do they need robots to game that system? Shouldn't your ideas be fine on their own? And I don't know specifically about James O'Keefe's bot network or alleged bot network, but in general, that dynamic prevails all the time.
Yeah, you see it constantly. The Judd Legum shows on Facebook, like these supposedly independent right-wing sites, like he'll show when the article is posted on, I don't know, I'll say Dan Bongino, I have no idea if it's Dan Bongino, and it's seconds later, it's instantly also pushed out on all of these other things with the exact same messages and all that. And all of it it's artificial. It's not another one of his sites spreading. I think that you're totally allowed to do that in theory. It's the idea that this is a network, and it's not. It's all the same people. Anyway, we'll see. We'll see. I'm sure he's going to raise even more money off of having been canceled.
I will say this. Can we just have 1 second to talk about Project Veritas videos and how, if I'm to give my satirical media criticism, it's like watching Ghost Adventures. It is, if anyone watches Ghost Adventures, they're like, oh God, we're doing where he, and my wife's gonna come in because she loves Ghost Adventures. It's like Zach Baggins is a journalist. But it's basically like they go with their like readings and they're like, oh gosh, there's ghosts here. And they're like, oh God, there's baby parts here. Oh, we have a real editorial champion from CNN here. It's the TD. Like that is a stressful job to have as a technical director. It is a very difficult job. And I'm not just saying that because Brandon can cut away from me at any moment, but they're not probably choosing the story.
Get TD owned, Brad.
The reason I didn't tweet about this is like, but it's like, it's true. Like the TD has 1,000 million buttons in front of them. And without knowing how to do that, the entire thing caves in on itself. Yeah. In a giant newsroom, there's like 10 to 15 people in a room doing all this crazy stuff. That's that guy's very important job. Is he choosing the stories? No. Is he trying to get some from the person on his Tinder date to seem important? Yes. And that's it. And that's the equivalent of Zach Baggins going like, did you hear that? It's a ghost. Did you hear that?
I'm really worried about what happens when your wife responds. Anyway, and by the way, here it at least could be like that. Brandon can suggest stories anytime he wants. We have a Slack channel. We did a story yesterday because Bart posted a bunch of links about it. I don't think it's CNN that's probably happening. I don't think the hosts choose the stories. I think it's probably like the EP just gives them their script. Sean Hannity's probably not like, oh God, I gotta get this rundown down to a tight 60. Yeah, anyway.
For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/thedamagereport. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.